Charity is literally a scam. There is a reason why so many billionaires are pledging to give their wealth away. Warren Buffett in 2006.
Mega billionaire Warren Buffett says he is giving away most of his fortune to charity.
Buffett has pledged to give away the bulk of his fortune to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Bill Gates in 2010.
How much do you think you've given away?
I've given over 100 billion. But I still have more to give.
Zuckerberg in 2015.
Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg promising to give away 99% of his shares of the company to charity in a letter to his newborn daughter.
Jeff Bezos in 2022. It begs the question, are billionaires becoming good? Or is this part of a larger plan? Because many sources are claiming it is. What possibly can you gain by donating your wealth to charity? Today, we answer that question with the help of one billionaire and one mega corporation, starting with the man, the myth, the legend, Bill Gates. It was the year 2000. Everybody hated Bill Gates, and people were not afraid to show it. Picture this. Bill Gates arrives in Belgium for a high-profile meeting. He's waving to the press, and completely unaware he's walking into an ambush. Just as he reaches the entrance, bam! A protester sneaks up and smashes a pie right in his face. Gates staggers back in shock, but it gets worse. As they try to rush him inside, two more attackers appear from nowhere, hitting him with pies again before being tackled. But this was just the beginning. Gates's reputation was collapsing fast. From ruthless monopoly lawsuits to accusations of office misconduct, Gates had earned the name Tyrant, and his company was suffering because of it. He had to prove to the world that he was more than a bully and a womanizer. And what better way to reinvent yourself than to suddenly abandon your tech empire and find a greater purpose through philanthropy? And so he did.
Well, the man who helped start Microsoft says he wants to devote more time to helping others. Bill Gates has announced he's resigning.
Bill Gates surprised many when he stepped down as Microsoft CEO, dubbing himself chairman and chief software architect. The CEO job went to his old Harvard pal, Steve Ballmer.
He followed up this pledge by donating millions of dollars to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, polio, gender equality, even receiving an award for Best in Charity in 2015.
And the Shorty Award for Best in Charity goes to the Gates Foundation.
Slowly but steadily, Gates began fixing his public reputation. I mean, who could say no to Africa?
Imagine, just for the sake of discussion, that you had a few hours a week and a few dollars a month to donate to a cause. And you wanted to spend that time and money where it would have the greatest impact in saving and improving lives. Where would you spend it?
If you come here, the first thing you see in the morning, people are flocking in here for their treatment. Some are here to test themselves if they do have TB. But this is how they start the day. Their routine is to sing. So when they sing, they feel at ease.
ቤት ሄዳ አታውቅም እናታችን። እኔ ያለሁበት አካባቢ የተወለድኩበት አካባቢ
5 of her siblings died of preventable causes like diarrhea and respiratory infections.
እኔ ሰውም እንዲህ አይነካኝም መውለድ ብቻ ነው እንጂ ጣጣ አላውቅም። አንደኛው ልጄ የሞተብኝ በተቅማጥ በሽታ ነው። ማታ ተይዞ ጠዋት 6 ሰዓት ላይ አረፈብኝ።
I don't think it's hyperbole to say that Bill Gates is singularly, I would argue, the most consequential individual of our generation. I mean that.
we're going to make a difference in tuberculosis, we need to stay in this game for the long haul.
But behind this charity, or so-called philanthropy, was a strategy to tap into a new market, one where people would sing his praises and slide his faults under the rug. Gates said his mother instilled the idea that with wealth came the responsibility to give it away. But Gates didn't give it away. He turned a charitable event into an investment in people, countries, and certain ideologies to profit. How do we know this? Because journalists quickly found out that Gates was making more from Africa than he was giving. His foundation bought agribusiness companies, farmlands, and has equity investments in many financial companies.
Well, extreme poverty's gone down dramatically.
Farmers unable to pay back their loans were being trapped in debt by Western banks. One of them called it a second phase of colonization.
And to nobody's surprise, his foundation was the key to penetrating Africa's government. Now get this. Even Wikipedia defines investment as the commitment of resources to achieve later benefits. And that's exactly how the Gates Foundation operates. It has a board, it makes strategic investments, and sees returns. Unfortunately, this is not a charity.
Their sole purpose was to act as if they're coming to rescue Africa. They're coming to fill in the gaps in government services, gaps in education, gaps in healthcare, gaps in humanitarian services. They're coming in the guise of addressing issues to do with human rights, issues to do with environmental protection and social justice. They are coming in claiming that they are introducing grassroots initiatives that are going to help the people. And so they use that as a way to go into the most remote parts of Africa. They're talking about government advocacy. When you look at it on paper, it all looks really good. But they're actually wolf in sheep's clothing. They are using that open access sounding humanitarian to constantly destabilize government.
Over the last 5 years, the Gates Foundation earned from its investments $28.5 billion. How much of that did the Gates Foundation actually pay out in charities, charitable contributions? $23.5 billion. Doesn't that seem a little bit odd?
In 2019, Gates saw an opportunity of a lifetime.
Coronavirus.
The coronavirus.
As we are in the throes of what is becoming a global issue.
His foundation secretly bought more than 1 million shares of BioNTech, a pharmaceutical company that made vaccines. He suddenly became the media's go-to health expert, appearing on every major news network, all while aggressively pushing vaccines that would make his new investment skyrocket in value. Bill, what exactly is your plan here?
A carrier of the virus comes into these countries, creating new clusters of the disease. The only way to eliminate the threat of this disease somewhere is to eliminate it everywhere. And it won't be normal until we get an amazing vaccine, until we have an efficacious vaccine. The ultimate solution is a highly effective, safe vaccine. The thing that'll get us back to the world that we had before coronavirus is the vaccine. It won't be a totally normal situation until we get a vaccine. The vaccine, this is urgent. Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population. It is fair to say things won't go back to truly normal until we have a vaccine. And so until you're widely vaccinated, those may not come back at all.
That's right. His $250 million investment into the fight against COVID was the ultimate misdirection, as he told the news media, "This will be seared in the memory of this generation." Hopefully to invest more in all these infectious diseases that are still a huge problem. Because look what happened next. He sold 80% of his stock with BioNTech, doing a complete rebrand against the vaccines he once promoted after making $550 million.
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation profited millions of dollars on the vaccines. Millions and millions of dollars. It's all easy to find. And then once he dumped the stock, then he completely changed his narrative. Like, this is wild, because this is the same guy that through the entire pandemic was talking about how great these vaccines are, and these vaccines are so effective, and they stop the virus, and they stop transmission, they stop infection.
It won't be normal until we get an amazing vaccine, until we have an efficacious vaccine. The ultimate solution is
and all that was a lie, and he profited off those lies. Yes. And everyone wants to pretend that he's just like this amazing philanthropist. Like, no, he made a lot of money. This is motivated by money, and his entire career he's been motivated by money.
Gates proved that you can make money from philanthropy, get good press coverage.
I don't think it's hyperbole to say that Bill Gates is singularly, I would argue, the most consequential individual of our generation. I mean that.
Thank you.
And what he is doing with his foundation is changing the world.
And still walk away a free man. And if you think at least he's not doing it anymore, you'll be dead wrong.
Before COVID, you say you spent the most sleepless nights worrying about pandemics. After COVID, has that changed? And if it has, what keeps you up now? Because we all need to know.
Gates is strategically ceding more influence in healthcare, and most aren't paying attention. They're the second largest donor to WHO after the US government.
It has become an organization that to a large part is in the hands of the private sector.
Their $2.8 billion injection into Nigeria, Africa's population giant, is no coincidence. He also donated $600 million to IHME. In case you were unaware, Gates Foundation donates millions of dollars to the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. This institution is responsible for tracking various diseases, keeping files on medical records, viruses, and biometric data in order to make accurate predictions, like there would be another virus in the next 25 years.
Though that you said the next pandemic you are predicting within maybe 25 years? Is that
certainly
accurate?
we'll have one in the next 25 years.
He knows that healthcare is profitable. Virus, disease, deaths translate into money for different health programs. In other words, death is money. Unfortunately, 90% of people would never know what happens behind the scenes because Gates isn't just profiting from the system, he's controlling it. When Gates was not pursuing women at Microsoft, he was controlling the media. In 2011, Gates donated $20 million to BBC to support their journalistic efforts. Since then, I've not seen a single BBC article calling him out or his shady practices. BBC would rather defend him than call him out. Like in 2020, when BBC published the article, How Bill Gates Became the Voodoo Doll of COVID Conspiracies. In a time when Gates was profiting heavily from vaccines,
no, he made a lot of money.
They launched an anti-disinformation team to research all the outlandish claims made against their favorite billionaire, completely ignoring the elephant in the room. Now here's where it gets interesting. If you search Bill Gates profits from vaccines site.bbc.com, you'll find 0 critical articles on the first page. But search Jeff Bezos profits site.bbc.com, the top result laughably screams, Jeff Bezos adds $24 billion to fortune during pandemic. Wait, does that mean the BBC is picking favorites and choosing to sell their integrity by downplaying one billionaire's crimes over another? This isn't to defend Bezos. Trust me, he's no saint. But it exposes media's golden rule. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, especially when it's holding billions in philanthropic donations. Fortunately, a journalist with balls who had been investigating Bill's charity foundation for more than a year released an article exposing him for leveraging charitable giving to advance his agenda. What agenda? Controlling the media's narrative. Tim Schwab, the journalist behind this masterpiece, talked about how every article criticizing Gates' foundation was always favorable or uncritical. To nobody's surprise, the major reason for this was because Gates Foundation funds the news. In his investigation, he found that more than $250 million from the foundation went to so-called news networks, including the likes of CNN, Al Jazeera,
PBS, NPR, the Financial Times, and
ProPublica, The Guardian, the same Guardian that left Twitter over misinformation, and last but not least, your favorite network, BBC.
So you can see they're almost literally presenting him as a saint.
According to the Web of Science database, more than 20,000 academic papers cite funding from the Gates Foundation, which has poured over $8 billion into universities since 2000. Scholars have even used the term the Bill chill to describe their reluctance to bite the hand that feeds them. When you take Gates's money, it's only cordial of you not to talk about his business. You can shine him in the light. Talk about how innovative he is, how his act of kindness is changing lives, why Bill plans to give away all his money. Talk about the billionaire virtues, but not his iniquity. Do a good job, and you may just qualify for another check. And it does not stop with Bill. Corporations like OpenAI are also part of the ballgame. In 2024, they donated $50 million in exchange for Hello? What? Why? Oh, we will not be talking about OpenAI in this video. Don't ask me why. The sad part is, billionaires have less to gain if you think about it, at least compared to... Similar to Gates's company Microsoft, Mastercard has also been accused of monopoly. But there was one market they were yet to fully monopolize, the vast, untapped potential of... In 2021, Mastercard Foundation donated $1.3 billion to help vaccinate 50 million Africans. But why? Are they all of a sudden inclusive? The same company that was fined $26 million in settlement for discrimination. Look a little closer, and you'll begin to connect the dots. Africa's market is worth $2.7 trillion. They knew Africa was priceless. They partnered with governments and invested heavily into Africa's digital solutions. They bought stakes in Africa's telecommunications giant, MTN. This purchase alone gave them access to the user behavior of 295 million Africans. But it wasn't quite enough, was it? They flooded African startups with so much money, locking in control of young entrepreneurs before they become the next big thing. When Mastercard was asked why they had so much interest in Africa, they gave the standard corporate yada with one key insight. Our aim is to drive financial inclusion, which is the long-term economic engine that will drive these countries forward, and that focus aligned nicely with government's agendas. But here's the trade-off. Mastercard now controls 30% of Nigeria's card payments. In South Africa, they control 47%, and their competitor Visa controls 52%. Combined, they leave less than 1% for African-owned payment systems. This isn't charity. It's a takeover dressed in philanthropy's clothing.
This is classic monopolistic behavior.
Sadly, so many mega corporations are culprits of this in one way or the other. From Microsoft to Meta to Google. Even non-profits like KidWish Network, who were supposed to help children with critical illness get a final wish, are in the same basket as the others. According to GivePledge, 220 billionaires have committed to give at least half their net worth away. Gates claims he'll give his children $10 million and give the rest to charity, saying it wouldn't do them any favors to give them more. Jeff Bezos' ex-wife is well known for donating billions to different non-profits. Zuckerberg promised to give away his fortune as well. That was before NBC uncovered that the charity Mark was referring to was just an LLC his family controls. Let's be clear. When donations generate billions in returns, it's not charity, it's a tax-dodging, reputation-laundering investment. This is not to say that all billionaires are exploiting the system. Some do have good intentions at heart, and honestly, at the end of the day, even if it's temporary, people do benefit a little from the almost good. When Mrbeast dug 100 wells in Africa, that community still got clean water, even if he was just seeking attention. When Mastercard came to Africa, they still helped so many entrepreneurs start their dream business, even if the end goal was to control their payment system. Their investments enabled more than 2,500 direct jobs, including 1,100 for women. Their partner MTN, which they invested in, has 17,000 employees across 18 markets, even if they're just a monopoly. The question is, would you do the same in their shoes? Or should the bigger question be, why isn't it illegal?
New released tax filings show exactly how Black Lives Matter spent their donation money.